Hello valued viewers, I hope you're all doing wonderfully well and welcome to what is almost certainly going to be an extremely exciting sea power battle. Today I want to satisfy two viewer requests. Request 1 is you want me to use the newly added US Montana Class Battleship made by Gold Leader in Steam, and I'll put the mod links in the video description if you want to try this yourself in a battle. Today I'm going to fight the Montana against its predecessor, the Iowa Battleship. The second request is not from a viewer at all, it's actually something I want to do. I'm currently rereading about the sinking of the German battlecruiser Scharnhorst in the mid-World War II. At the time she was harassing Allied convoys north of Norway. The British sent a large naval task force to sink her. We threw everything at her, but she proved extremely difficult to take on. She was really well defended and well crewed. One of the attacks we tried really piqued my interest, and that is we sent in a squadron, so that's 4 fast destroyers. The idea would be that the destroyers would sprint from outside of Scharnhorst's gun range to try and get within 5 miles without being shot, obviously. Within 5 miles, they would send a large fan of surface torpedoes towards her, then turn and retreat at flank speed to try and get out of her gun range. And I've read about similar instances in World War I of even faster 40-knot British destroyers doing the same thing against German heavy cruisers, battle cruisers and battleships. I just find it a really interesting use of a destroyer squadron. So first let's start with Montana versus Iowa. And is this going to be fun, viewers? First, the Iowa. Let's just refresh our memories. Of course, one of the world's most famous battleships. And I believe 4 of them actually still exist in 2025, although obviously not in service. Displacement, 58,000 tons each. They were considered a fast battleship at 33 knots. Their primary armament was, of course, 9 Mark 7 16-inch guns, range, at least in sea power, just shy of 21 nautical miles. Secondary armament, 12 Mark 28 5-inch guns, 6 per side. The World War II fit would obviously have many smaller caliber anti-aircraft guns, but they're not in this fit and they wouldn't be relevant for today anyway, and you can ignore the Sea Whiz. The Montana was to be the successor to the Iowa battleship. 5 were planned, and they were about to start laying down the keels when sadly they were cancelled. At the time, they just weren't the priority. Aircraft carriers were the priority, and plus, they were still making Iowas. For the Montana, they would have breached the regulations in place to add an extra 10,000 tons of armour in various areas, making a displacement of 68,000 tons, pretty much matching the largest battleships in history, the Yamato class from Japan. She was considered, amazingly, a slow battleship at 30 knots, but in what world is 30 knots slow, I don't know. To me, that's still extremely fast. In terms of armament, we've actually got a theorised refitted model here with modern missiles, but just ignore them, I'll get rid of them for the battle. For the original 1940s fit, she would have had the same Mark 7 16-inch guns as the Iowa, but with an extra aft turret. So, instead of 9 guns, 12 guns. As well as that, we've got the same Mark 28 guns. We don't have our anti-aircraft guns, and you can ignore the Sea Whiz for today. In terms of the extra armour for the Montana class, the main belt was planned to be 16.1 inches, 410 millimeters. Bulkheads, 18 inches, 460 millimeters. Barbettes, 21 inches, 540 millimeters. The turret faces, which are always the thickest, 22.5 inches, 570 millimeters, and the main armor deck about 7 inches, about 180 millimeters. And presumably just simply would have been the best battleship in history. Today's fight will be extremely simple. We have Montana here in blue and Iowa here in red, starting just out of gun range, which of course is the same for both at 21 nautical miles. They will close, they will be set to free fire, and we just watch the fireworks. Which is going to win, viewers? Well, Montana has 10,000 tons of extra armor and 3 extra guns, so I think it's pretty obvious, but let's go anyway. Welcome in, viewers. As you can see, looks very much like an Iowa as Montana would have, but we have the extra turret at the back here. So we'll play as blue today. We can see the Iowa with our radar, and by her radar emissions at 23.5 nautical miles. We'll let AI control both sides to keep everything completely fair. Both set the same, both set to now free fire. Let's go. You can see now that she's also in visual range as well as radar and emissions, so we can now click on her and hello, Mr. or should I say Mrs. Iowa. Look at you and your puny lack of rear extra turret. And coming in range, I haven't actually run this, so I am not actually sure that Montana's going to win, but I mean the logic is there, right? It should win. And in range, off she goes. Both are going to be in range at the same time. Forward primary armament turning first. Let's have double check she is engaging. Yes, Iowa is also engaging. Who's going to fire first is very important in battleship gun engagement, shall we say. Pause. Sorry, just something I've noticed for the first time. I noticed when the gun started turning, this antenna here also turned towards the hostile. So that's presumably the ranger for the guns. Unpause. Enjoy, viewers. 12 16-inch shells on their way over 20 miles. Now presumably Iowa's fired, and yes she has, but obviously she's 3 guns down. It's all about probability of who's going to win. There is no surefire way of sending a shell to hit a battleship. It's all about straddling the battleship with your salvo. If some of the shells hit, then that's great. But damage can also be done with shells exploding nearby and splinters damaging the ship. But with extra 3 turrets, it simply gives us a better probability, obviously, 25% or whatever, more probability of our shells hitting. Also, pause, quick talking point. In books I'm reading at the moment, large gunships, so heavy cruisers, battleships, would always try and engage at their maximum range. That's not just to keep them safe from the hostile guns and to just maximize our overall efficiency, but it was also about how the shells would land on the hostile ship. You wanted them to come down as steep as possible because the armoured deck was always less thick than the armoured belt around the side, as we saw from those numbers before. Obviously, the further out we fire, then the steeper the trajectory of the shell and the steeper it will come down, therefore more likely to hit the armoured deck, penetrate and do more damage. The shells fired could be high explosive or armor piercing, and obviously they would be used armor piercing in a fight like this. Right, now who fired first? I don't know, so I don't know where the first salvo is going to land, but I guess we watch Montana. And this really is unlucky. The first shell, so unlucky. Second shell hit. Checking Iowa. No hits, 1 hit amidships, 2 hit amidships, 3 hit on the forward turret. Oh, yeah, wow. Wow. And there's our probability in action, viewers. More shells in the air. They're the same guns. They're modelled the same. The same radar, same everything. More shells, more chance of hitting. Now remember, there's a huge delay in the shells dropping. Minutes. It takes minutes to fire 2 shells. But with a 30 or so % extra chance of shells landing. She's down to 1 knot. Her propulsion's gone. She's down. She's not dead, but she can't move. What does that mean? Well, it makes her a much easier target. Montana, it has been hit, as you can see, but it's ready. Oh, it's hitting the armoured belt, look. Oh, that's Iowa problem. Amidships hit, or armoured belt, not sure. Okay, we're on fire. Our turret's been hit. The front faces of the turrets were always the most heavily armoured. That said, turrets were still very vulnerable. So Montana still 10 knots, Iowa 0 knots. And it's just a matter of time now, surely. Oh wow, look at that, viewers. As you would say in German, das ist unglaublich. That's kind of sad to see, but I'm afraid that's progress, viewers. I can't see her damage, but obviously she's going to be sinking. Montana's going to hold her fire now. Montana did take damage. Look, she knows that I was down, so she's getting back on her steer point course. Let's have a look at her damage out of interest. So she took huge damage. I'm not going to read all that out, but you know, a vast amount of stuff has just been destroyed, and a bit of flooding and a slight hull damage. Oh, look, I've already put the fire out. That is some serious damage control. But an easy victory, and no one really wants to see it, but if she's going to go down, it might as well be to the theorized Montana, right, viewers? Well, that's not bad, especially bearing in mind that's the first time I've run that as well, so top notch, I suppose. Next, let's run the second scenario, where Montana is going to be charged by a squadron of destroyers from outside of her gun range. So, off we go. 20-something miles away are the squadron of destroyers, currently outside of her gunnery range. British destroyers, 32 knots, flank speed, sprinting in to try and get within torpedo range, and their torpedoes are here, the venerable Mark 9 torpedo. 4 ships in a squadron. Let's see how they do. Again, I haven't run this oh wow, already. Will they be able to do it? Well, I don't know. I guess it depends whether Montana has problems targeting them at 32 knots. We're just going to have to see. It's going to be a few minutes before those shells land, obviously. Also, how efficiently is she going to target them? Now, in real life, I know what you're going to say. Iowa, Montana, they're pretty much as fast as those destroyers. Why don't they just run away? Yeah, I get it, but in everything I've read, it's not just these guys against these guys. You know, it's a big battle going on. So Montana would be busy fighting, I don't know, Scharnhorst, Tirpitz, whatever, and then, you know, the destroyers would be used to sneak in around the back. That's how it would be used. But in this case, let's just keep it pure and simple. Destroyers have their own guns as well, but they're 4.5 inches with a range of 10 miles, if I'm lucky, maybe up to 12 miles. Now, the US, as I said it, 16-inch guns were notoriously accurate by their fire control, and we've just seen that. I don't know if they were that accurate. That was a good start. I wasn't expecting that on Salvo 1. Now, there's going to be a delay because, obviously, you know, it takes minutes for those shells to get from Montana to here. So Montana's shells that were still firing against that guy are going to be firing for quite some time before, you know, you know what I'm trying to say. Basically, there's a 2-minute delay and everything, 3-minute delay. To be one of these destroyer captains. Now, the funny thing about these destroyers were these are early World War II destroyers, and they didn't have covered bridges. So the crew, the officers, would actually be up here with nothing but a bit of glass separating them from the elements. Now, why is that, viewers? I never understood that. Same in World War I, obviously. Why did destroyers have open decks? Surely it just makes them massively vulnerable because they don't even have to be hit. Wow. You know, a high explosive 16-incher could hit the sea here, and shrapnel, or known as splinters to the Navy, would just shred the officers. It just seems so stupid having a convertible layout. That said, I've always had massive respect reading these books about World War I, World War II destroyers like this, just, you know, sailing in towards, you know, 60,000 ton monsters with their convertibles, you know, just sitting in their beautiful attire. And as well as that, destroyers had to go, well, essentially through the Blue Sea. So they had massive seas to contend with. And just imagine, you know, how bad those conditions are going to be. I'm reading about submarines at the moment and how watchkeeping had to be done on the deck, you know, on the top of the tower in force 10 storms. So these guys would have it all day long. Huge respect for destroyer captains, or officers, or anyone. Well, my beautiful British destroyers, of which I've chosen the Z-class, viewers. I could have chosen a different one, but the destroyers in World War II, mid-World War II, tended to be about 2,500 tons. The British, about 33 knots, which is what we've got here. If you go back to World War I, if you look at the R-class, for instance, much smaller, much smaller. I'll try and get a picture now before I forget. 1,000 tons, sometimes 900 tons, and sometimes up to 40 knots. Because, again, they were sprinters. They had to get to their target as quickly as possible. That was their way of surviving. As well as that, they would need to hunt submarines. Hunting submarines means, pre-ASROC, getting to the submarine as quickly as possible to launch depth charges. So, speed was everything. Well, we're 7 minutes in, and It's not going well for the Destroyer Squadron, viewers. But I've jolly well enjoyed talking about naval affairs to people. I've got no one really to talk about ships with, viewers. My wargamers have no interest in ships at all. They're like, blur, I want to fly a Tomcat. Which is fine. But I need to get my shipping done as well, viewers. Well, that's one brave, open-top Destroyer captain there, viewers. Seeing here the rest of his squadron taken down and still charging forward. Range, a measly 18 nautical miles. Oh dear. Like I said at the beginning, you probably wouldn't just do this against a capital ship on its own. You know, it would be part of a big attack, and there would be capital ships against capital ships, there would be cruisers involved, and then you just sneak your destroyers in around the side. As well as that, weather was rarely, you know, perfect like this. I like doing clear weather so you can see stuff, but in reality, there's going to be bad weather. There's going to be fog, there's going to be rain, and the chance to sneak a destroyer squadron in is going to be a lot easier. Still hitting that one. He's already dead. As soon as I saw that first salvo coming down, I knew what was going to happen. Oh dear. Yeah, that didn't work, viewers. Well, why don't we try changing it from a squadron to a flotilla, viewers? Let's just add, magically add 4 more in. Right, well, I don't have a huge amount of confidence in this, but let's try it anyway. Flotilla of 8 Z-class destroyers. What could possibly go wrong? Go on, boys. Brilliant. Now, here's a question for you, viewers. Montana at the moment just goes for one vessel with her entire armament. That to me, well, you can see how inefficient it is because she's still shooting that one guy who's dead. Would you not assign one gun per target? Well, you know what I mean? Divide the guns up, which you could do, I think. Yeah, I'm sure you could. Divide the guns up for each target. Would that not be a better way of doing it? Let me know your thoughts on that, and if that was even possible. Because look, it's damaged that ship now. It's going to sit and pummel that ship until it's sunk. But that's a bit silly, really, because look how many shells and time she's going to waste. So I theorise that's an inaccuracy there. There's definitely nothing I can do about that. I suppose what I could do is mark her as non-hostile at this point. Yes, I could do that, couldn't I? I can mark her as... No, I can't. Once she's hostile, she's hostile. I can't demark her. So... suck it up, I believe. That said, Montana doesn't really know what's happening over here. Remember, this is over the horizon. You can't see a destroyer at 20 miles. It's just, you can't really see what's going on. Soak up the flak while the boys go ahead. Wow. Then there were 5. We are 15 miles, 10 miles to go. Come on, boys. Three more. 14 miles. Now here's a problem I just thought of. We're going to get within 5-inch gun range soon, aren't we? So it's going to be even more deadly, because these guns can easily take out a destroyer, whatever their range is. So that's going to be problematic. Oh look, we can see them over the horizon now. Then there were 2. Yeah, I don't think this is going to happen, is it, viewers? You'd need a whole navy of 60 destroyers. As we get closer, the reaction time also goes down because the shell travel time is lower. Oh, and the accuracy gets higher. Oh dear. Oh, we can see her now. Look at the guns blazing in the distance. Just how it would look in real life. Not attractive. That's 5-inch armament. 12 miles. Alright, we lose, I accept it. Just one more, viewers, just for the lols. And let's face it, we all like lols, don't we? Okay, viewers, this time we're starting within 10 miles. Let's just say that if I set her to free fire now, that a bigger battle's going on. Montana's got busy fighting British cruisers over here. She hasn't got time to prioritise the destroyers, plus the weather is very bad, and these said classes have managed to close to 10 miles. Let's see what happens. Now, one bad point is she's now within these 6 5-inch gun ranges here. Well, that's quite an impressive sight, viewers. Would not want to be a Z-class right now. Right, come on, boys. Stop dilly-dallying now. One down already to 5-inch fire. How about that? I mean, it's the destroyer. It's not really armoured, so... designed to be cheap and fast. Dognammit. Schneller! Schneller! I need a World War I R-class is what I need. 40 knots of maximum boom. Oh no, we're falling at such a rate. It's the 5 inches are the problem. It's the 5 inches. 5 inches always a problem. It's a rate of fire, a dreaded rate of fire. Plus the 16 inches have got a slow rate of fire. Everything has to happen slowly. 5 inches, not so much. Oh. Well, we're down to 5 already. That said, what range are we? We are 8 miles, 3 more miles, and we get to talk. Look, she's busy concentrating on a bad guy, a good guy, whatever. Words are hard. It's her problem. Then there were 4. I noticed she's using her 16 armament at different targets to her 5-inch armament, which is good. I guess. Still 8 miles. Come on! Oh no. Just too much firepower. 2 miles to go. BT, come on, this is the one for you. 1 mile to go. 1 mile. Damn it, BT. Why didn't you have a closed roof bridge? That's it, we're down. No, viewers. Maybe if you were fighting a World War I capital ship, but against a freaking Montana, essentially late World War II American battleship, there is no way of closing that gap. We made, what, 4 miles progress? Not even 4 miles, 3.5 miles progress. Ain't gonna happen. Alright, viewers, that was Montana versus Iowa. Montana thrashes it, as we thought it would. We tried every way of getting a squadron and destroyer flotilla through, and it is not gonna happen. I hope you enjoyed that, and bye-bye.